Welcome to Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This, the show where we have the tough conversations around aging and caring for a loved one. Whether you're an adult child or an aging parent or anyone caring for a loved one, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Angela Vanderpool, and each episode we dive into actionable tips, heartfelt stories, and expert guidance to support you on your journey. Let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back to Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This, where we talk about aging, caregiving, and the very real, very human moments in between. I'm your host, Angela Vanderpool, and this episode is a part of our ongoing series on grief and loss. When we hear the word grief, most of us think of death or divorce. But grief is the normal and natural emotional response to any significant change or loss in life. Today, we're talking about one of the most overlooked yet deeply painful experiences, the grief that comes with changes to our health and independence, our bodies, our energy, our memory, our daily freedoms. This episode is for anyone walking that road, personally, with a parent or partner, or as a part of a care team. If you've ever thought, I don't feel like myself anymore, or I can't do what I used to, and it hurts, you are not alone. Let's name what's hard and then talk about what helps. The loss of health isn't always visible, and it doesn't always happen all at once. For many people, it unfolds in stages: diagnosis, treatment, and the ongoing reality of living with new limits. Each stage can bring a fresh wave of grief. Unlike some losses, this one doesn't have a neat ending. It can feel like a series of reminders of what's changed. You might find yourself grieving the independence you once had, the activities you can't do in the same way, and just the version of yourself you believed you would always be. And because this kind of loss isn't always acknowledged by others, it can feel lonely, like your heart is carrying a heavy truth that no one else can see. Here's something important. For people living with chronic or rare illness, grief isn't linear. There may be a clear beginning, maybe the day of diagnosis, but often there isn't a clear end. Symptoms and treatments rise and fall, emotions rise and fall. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're human. Sometimes the things people say and what actually helps are two different things. Most friends and family really do mean well, but sometimes we hear phrases that kind of land like a door closing to us. Things like, at least it isn't worse, or just be strong, or this one, just stay positive, or don't talk about it. You only feel worse. These responses don't make room for feelings. They can leave you feeling silenced or dismissed. What helps instead are simple, honest connections. Things like, I can't imagine how hard this must be for you. Or, I'm here to listen if you want to share. Or, your feelings are valid. Or simply sitting together in quiet without trying to fix anything. Small shifts like these create safety, and safety is where healing begins. Health changes often bring layered grief, more than one loss at a time. Let's name a few common layers and maybe offer a couple of ways forward. Let's take loss of identity first. Maybe work used to be a big part of your who I am, and now you can't do the same job or any job. Or let's say maybe hiking, travel, or volunteering defined your weeks. When those change, it's normal to feel a bit unmoored. Some things to try are to really honor what those roles and activities meant to you. Say it out loud or write it down, and then possibly look for modifications and new expressions of old loves. If running is out, perhaps you can walk or gentle cycling or maybe a chair based class. If traveling isn't possible anymore, maybe you could take a virtual tour or join an online class about a country you love, or maybe build a photo project from past trips. Also, naming the identities you still carry, such as parent, friend, neighbor, mentor, community member. Those things count. Sometimes shifts in friendships and our support also come up. Sometimes people step back when illness changes the relationship and rhythm, and that can really hurt. So, some things you can try are learn to lean into those who do show up and consider building connection with others who get it. Local groups, possibly faith communities, or online peer spaces. A friendship ending can sometimes create space for a friendship beginning. Work and dreams and it work and education dreams. For some, continuing in the same field isn't safe or sustainable. So maybe you could try considering a course correction that serves your health, maybe part time or remote or flexible, or maybe a new path completely. And notice the real skills that you've built managing a health condition. Things like organization, advocacy, navigating complex systems. Those are strengths and they belong on your internal resume. One of the hardest griefs is the event you couldn't attend, maybe a holiday, wedding, games, trips. It's not just one miss, it can trigger memories of all the other times you couldn't go. Acknowledge the pain and plan a makeup moment whenever possible. Maybe coffee with the people you missed, or a small ritual, or a photo swap, or maybe a future date on the calendar. Having something to look forward to matters. Emotions that are normal, even if they're uncomfortable. Facing health changes can spark a whole spectrum. Things like anger or why me, or worry about treatment, finances, or the future. Possibly sadness and grief for your old life, or maybe guilt or shame about needing help, numbness and denial, or feeling isolated or like you've become your condition. None of that means you're failing. It means your whole self, body, mind, and heart is trying to adjust to a big change. There is no right way to feel. There is only your way, and it will evolve. What can actually help for you and the people you love? Think about this section of the podcast as a practical care kit, little actions that can pay big dividends. For the person who is living with the change, try naming the losses. I miss driving at night, or I miss spontaneous plans. Clarity reduces overwhelm. Make room for feelings. You don't have to be cheerful to be resilient. Let emotions move through you. They don't stay forever. Lower the stress load. Gentle breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, short outdoor time, prayer or meditation. Pick one small practice that you can do. Sleep and nourishment are very important. They're basics. Regular meals, hydration, and a bedtime wind down can be very important. Right sized activity. If mobility is limited for you, explore seated or therapist guided movement. A little consistent motion supports your mood and your sleep. Staying connected is very important. Face to face time with a safe person is protective against anxiety and depression. Maybe it's therapeutic support. A licensed counselor can also help you process loss, anxiety, or low mood. The grief recovery method that I have talked to you about. This approach offers a structured path to express what the loss has meant to you and to complete any undelivered communications. It doesn't minimize your pain or offer cliches. It gives you tools to carry the love and set down the weight. If you're a caregiver or a family member or a friend, there are some things that you can do to help. Try offering specific help. I'm going to the store. Can I bring you milk and berries? Beats. Let me know if you need anything. Listen more than you talk. Ask, do you want ideas right now, or do you just want a listening ear? Avoid advice unless invited. Being with is more powerful than being right. Keep showing up, not just at diagnosis, after treatment, during the long middle, on ordinary Tuesdays. Show up. Protect dignity and autonomy. Ask preferences, offer choices, and involve your person in decisions whenever possible. Independence can be redefined, not erased. Losing some independence can feel a bit like losing control. That fear is real, but control has more than one doorway. Here are a few things. Choice in the small things. What to wear, what music to play, which mug for tea. Small choices restore a sense of self. Rituals that anchor the day. A morning window stretch, a 10-minute journal, a daily check-in call. Purpose you can touch. A porch garden, possibly reading to a grandchild on video, labeling family photos, writing a short how-to for a craft you love. Meaning survives adaptation. If it's safe, I invite you right now to place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. I invite you to breathe in for the count of 4, hold for 2, and breathe out for 6. Now, quietly name one thing you miss. Name one thing you're grateful for today. Name one tiny action you can take in the next 24 hours that supports you. Texting a friend, sitting in the sun for 5 minutes, schedule a telehealth check-in. Small doesn't mean insignificant. Small is how we start again. You may not have chosen this path, but you don't have to walk it alone. Recovery doesn't always mean a body that looks the way it used to. Recovery can mean a heart less burdened by unspoken pain. If you're curious about the grief recovery method or you want to connect with a counselor, check your local resources, your primary care provider, or your community's senior services. And if you're supporting someone you love, remember presence over perfection. Keep showing up. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode helped you name something true, would you share it with a friend or a family member? It's amazing how much lighter grief can feel when we speak it out loud and someone simply says, I'm here. Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This is sponsored by Dharma Healthcare Management. We release new episodes every other Friday. Follow the show, leave a review if you're willing, and come say hello on our community pages. We love hearing your stories and your questions. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You're doing something brave, learning how to live a full life in a changing body. Be proud of yourself. Thanks for tuning in to Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps us reach more adult children and their aging parents and loved ones. Special thanks to our sponsor, Dharma Healthcare Management, for supporting the show. Stay tuned for more honest conversations to help you find peace, clarity, and community with others who understand what you're going through. And we'll see you next time on Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This.